Hello, everybody. My name is Mark Jordan. I'm the software development team lead here at CDH, and I'm here to bring you another 5-Minute Friday video. A couple weeks ago, I was part of a panel of some other team leads here at CDH, bringing you a look ahead of what we think 2019 tech trends are. And today I'm going to expound on those that I had indicated during my little segment in that video. So without any further ado or regard, let's go for it. So the first tech trend that we had that I had indicated was big data, and it's not just big data anymore. It's just data now, but it's a bigger data. So let's go with the bigger data motto here. The big data notion that we had adds up to now was more of a, hey, it's coming, there's a lot of data, but now that's really here. It's been solved by the cloud providers. We've got decentralization of all of this data out from your local servers and into the cloud. Better, it's got better disaster recovery, better computing power, and so we've got a bigger engine out there that can churn through more of your data. And the businesses really consider this more of a critical business resource than just a tool, only because they're starting to rely on it more and more for decision making and even predicting of trends, right, in their own walls and in their own corporations. And so what used to be constrained from too much data to process, there was just too much there, too little time to process it, too little power to actually get the answers you need. Now it's possible. And so we're really looking at an advent of data science at this point. And we're really trying to take the data that we have and we're trying to put it through some other engines, again, in a quicker way, and a lot of data. And now we can start predicting trends and futures, such as how much will we make this month, or what employees are going to leave based on certain factors that we can program into our models. And so with all of this, there's this data science. You're seeing a bigger role in enterprises now that will tend to lead or take charge of this. And where you had a CIO or a CEO of an organization, we're now going to start seeing CDOs, because this is how important data is to an organization. Again, it is almost essential. And I won't say almost, it is essential. The CEO wants something, he wants to know some trends, he wants to know some data. Guess what? You're going to be able to give it to them in a bigger way and in a faster way, in a very, very much more presentable way now, with your bigger data mantra, with these bigger machines and bigger servers out there in the cloud to give it to you. And so that was one of my big trends that I call for 2019. It's just bigger data, if you will. Another one of mine was machine learning, and so that kind of goes hand in hand with the data at times. You'll see a bullet point at the end of this slide about how we could do streaming analytics, and it's almost on-demand data computing, where we couldn't do that before. But with machine learning, what we have is a chance to take all this data, and it's almost an as it happens or per instance learning of it has something to do with AI, right? We were talking about AI, artificial intelligence, and now we're slapping machine learning on top of that. And so some of the benefits that you'll see out of this is some data trends, such as if a customer purchases bread, he's going to be 80% more likely to also purchase eggs. So you think Meijer stores or any grocery stores around you that are technically equipped, they're going to start having these machine learn your habits or the customer's habits as a whole, and start putting things next to each other based on buying habits. This is what is on what's called unsupervised learning. And so you're taking it, you're learning it, the program is trained based on some training examples, which then facilitate how it's going to get an accurate conclusion with that new given data at any given time. And then there's supervised learning. Robotics has a good basis with this. If you set a robot up to learn from its mistakes, it's going to start correcting itself. So just take an example of a robot that moves around a field. and it bumps into something. It's going to start bumping into something and bumping into more of some things, and it's actually going to learn what this field is, how big it is, what its constraints are, and eventually it won't bump into anything anymore. And that's more of a supervised learning. It's supervising itself and storing that data. And so with this type of machine learning, we're not necessarily coming to the HAL age where HAL is just gonna lock you out of the space capsule, but it is a learning of a nature that we software developers can program, and it can help you with your products, your enterprise, your expending habits, your sales, and your consumers targeting, right? And then lastly, one of the points here is quantum computing. And so that kind of goes hand in hand with machine learning, only because we keep talking about faster computers, and machine learning was something of an enigma because it was theoretical and it wasn't realistic. Again, with faster computers and different ways to program them, this has become more realistic. I think more in 2019, now that we have the AI established and there's been people playing with it, there's going to be a lot more of this coming down the pike, I think, this year. Microsoft even has an ML.NET learning module, actually a framework that you could use with some samples and to kind of get you started on how that works, right? And so I'm going to stop here because I could go on for like a whole 2-hour session on machine learning. Yes, Joyce, I know you're writing this down for another webinar probably. So just keep that in mind. We may do that. So next trend. Joyce, by the way, is one of our marketing people, and she's monitoring me, making sure I don't say anything that's not supposed to be said, and keeping me within my time limit. So she does a great job at that. So kudos. Thank you, Joyce. Third point, low-code development. And so when I say low-code, there may be a little bit, a coder and a programmer has to do something in order to make something happen on a machine, right? And so when I say low-code development, if you see this little graphic on this slide, what you're looking at is a drag and drop in a visual type of interface where you can type in some parameters, and these are preset type of functions or actions, and it gives you a start to end application, if you will. And so this, by the way, comes from some junior level or high school or middle school level type of programming for robotics, of which I'm a mentor and a coach. If you're interested in that, give me a holler. I'd love to expend some information onto you for your middle school or high school student. It's a great program. Nevertheless, the visual aspect of this basically is saying that we've done this type of thing so many times, we can now encapsulate it into this little action block and drag it here, and it's just going to do what you want to do. So, we programmers, you would think that we would be threatened by this, but in actuality, we're not. We are welcoming it because we kind of get tired of doing the same old programming day in and day out, and kind of look for something new, like the machine language thing, right? So this is somewhat of a welcome nature, and you'll see in a couple slides in a moment where even Microsoft up at the enterprise level is starting to do this. And even mobile development gets easier and more cost-effective when you kind of do the same thing. And there's many libraries and frameworks out there that allow us to do that. And so some of the examples I'll show you, I got slides for most of these, but Nintex is a workflow and forms type of application that you can put into your corporation or enterprise for Salesforce, SharePoint, and even just for a standalone workflow and forms type of app. And what it allows you to do is basically acquire data and report on data and have some business flow around that data, right? And so this, again, something that we programmers have been doing forever, but we've kind of compartmentalized it, envelopeized it, if you will, and now it's drag and drop, and we can go and, it's Nintex's mantra is it's workflow for everyone. So I wouldn't go as far as to say that. You still need some knowledge of kind of what you're doing, excuse me, but the notion there is that you don't need a low-level, very expensive programmer to do this. And so here's an example. I bought this toy for my 10-year-old. Actually, I bought it for the family, and I actually opened up the package and used it first. I claim that right as a parent. But it's a ball, and it's a remote control ball via Bluetooth, right? Excuse me. So this you can actually freeform it on a screen and just take the ball and whiz it around and go left and right and backwards and forward, just like you would a remote control car. But you can also program it. You can see an example here where somebody took just some drag and drop blocks and added some numbers and parameter values, and now they've got an application that basically does a pre-programmed set of steps. And so even at the 10-year-old level, they're starting to do this with some of the children. And oh, by the way, you can program this in JavaScript too. So they give you both options, right? Here's another example at the middle school robotics level. I coached a team for 3 years now that would take an EV3 Lego techniques type of model and do some programming. Again, see all these blocks that you just add some values, very easy to program, and then you get some results out of there that you will that allow you basically to earn points and win a match in a competition. And even up at the high school level, where the robots are, you know, life size to the human level, they have a drag and drop interface for that, or you can go straight down to the C++, very low level development. So the low level code development is here to stay, and it is even provided at the enterprise level. Here's an example of the Power Apps platform that Microsoft provides. Here we're doing a form where we have data entry and tabbed interface, and just goes right into a database, and even a flow that goes behind it. This is actually something we're writing for internal use. I think this is our EDU. Yeah, it's our EDU request. So it goes through an approval process, and you know, it actually tracks what we're doing. And later on, we have this trackability on what we have done for EDU for the year, or even for the last 5 years. And so this is, again, one of our low code solutions. Any enterprise that has this can go and provide to themselves a database, a data acquirement type of app, and put some workflow behind it and even some reporting behind it as well. So here's yet another app, even mobile friendly, right? The app itself is for time entry. This is for another client we've done this for. So their time entry is done through this app, and then they can report on it, and then I think they actually export it or import it into another like an SAP system, etc. So there's endless possibilities with this. Again, it's a quicker to market, if you will, inside your own walls application for data acquirement, reporting, etc. With a touch of business workflow behind it. So that was the low code development. You can see that there's a lot of this going on. And again, we software developers, we're not disappointed. This gets out of the realm of doing the tedious so that we can start doing the better stuff, such as KPI and trending and predicting with machine learning, etc. That is going to be far more valuable for a large enterprise than spending our cycles on something like this. So the next trend, I think this is the fourth one, is our software, is the notion of software revenue models. So we have, you know, traditionally there was off-the-shelf software. You buy a box, you bring it to your computer, you install it, and then you get updates from that manufacturer based on either a CD, or you can go download it, etc. So this model is wrong. It's been since the beginning of time. It's proven to be a good model, but there's always something better. And so the software as a service is now becoming more prevalent, even with subscription type payments, so that your not only is the revenue for the manufacturer of the software a constant coming in, but it also provides to them that revenue so that they can keep doing bug fixes and feature enhancements to this app, and then roll them out to you on an almost transparent basis. And it's not something you have to worry about updating, but it is done either on an automatic basis or by virtue of your election on your system to get that done because of that subscription basis. I mean, how many of you have had Office products that have been so old that they're now expired and discontinued and they don't support it anymore? This kind of gets rid of that, because eventually, if you're on a subscription, if something's going to happen, you're still good. You're in their graces. You still pay a subscription. You're still going to be safe. So Another software revenue model is the I call it the Fortnite free model, and this is the the microtransactions. You get into a game. Pardon me, getting over a cold. My apologies. Get into a game, or you get into some other software that you maybe pay a low rate or a free for it, and then you can buy in-app purchases, right? And so, I mean, the interesting example that I heard was this Fortnite game where there are so many microtransactions and in-app purchases that you can make. They actually had I think it was a $3 billion profit last year, right? So, I mean, that it's just blows my mind, right? That this would happen, but look at the potential, and that's for a game. What if your enterprise software kind of did the same thing, and it was written in such a way that was easy with an online store for it, etc. And so SharePoint has started to do that. Even some of the Office products are going to start doing that as well. You'll see where you start paying for a feature up on the ribbon just so you can have it, but it keeps your front cost low, right? And so it's all based on the law of supply and demand. If people are demanding it, and they'll write it, and then they'll keep writing more of that same ilk. That's why Fortnite they just keep writing those microtransaction type of things. So, and the benefit of that is, of course, for the manufacturer of such software, it's a recurring revenue model. It's not just a one-time deal, and then you have to worry about the bug fixes and how you're going to deploy those, even though nobody's paying you for those, etc. And it's a shame, but everybody's got to survive, right? So the subscription model, I believe, is here to stay, and you're going to see a lot of that more going forward. Okay, and now we have our last one. So the blockchain technology. So what is blockchain? I don't even know how to spell it. It was 2 words or 1 word. I don't know. I'm going with 2 words because Bitcoin, who basically is the key word for this, has it as 2 words in all their documentation. But that's beside the point. We're not here for grammar. We've seen a trend in its use, in a spike basically with Bitcoin and some others such as cryptocurrency and Ethereum. I don't even know how to pronounce it. So, but there's some other non-currency examples too. This is going to be a trend that is going to be huge for not only currency but for data and records, etc. And even some little miniature algorithms within some of these blocks of data, such as smart contracts. And I won't go into what those are. You can look it up, but it's getting pretty crazy, and it's getting pretty exciting as to what you could do with blockchain. We had one of our partners, go to a conference a couple years ago, and that was a couple of years ago, and give a presentation on blockchain and what it was as a 101 type of course and its capabilities. So it is huge. It is here to stay. It's going to get more prevalent, and it's gonna change a lot of things in this world. That is my 5 things in 35 minutes, and not necessarily 5 minutes. So thank you for watching. Hope you get something out of this video. Some of the keywords, go look up some of that information, and until next time, take care.